What's up, everybody? Soren Baker here on Unique Access, Best Albums, and today we're joined by David Banner. Thank you for coming through, sir.
Thank you.
And man, this is one of my all-time favorite albums, man. Goodie Mob Soul Food, 1995. So David Banner, what makes this one of the best albums?
It makes it one of the best albums for me because it literally changed my life.
Okay, it's a good reason.
I was right at a point where I was either gonna go this way or really this way.
Okay.
And I was recording back and forth, driving my van to Atlanta, and I had heard stories about a couple of the members in Goodie Mob. I'm not gonna tell the names, but they used to be in a robbing crew.
Okay.
And like literally they used to go around to the house parties and rob the whole house party. That's what I was hearing in the streets. And then for me to go back home and then to hear this album, I knew that it wasn't some guys who were holier than thou and talking down to the streets. These were guys who lived one way but chose to give their people something else.
Right.
And that showed me I could do that. Like, cause I had already done the crooked letter thing and it didn't work out, and went back to the streets, was sleeping on the couch and was homeless in a lot of cases. And I was like, man, these are grown men. Even for, it was little stuff on the album, even Gip saying, pick up the paper, pick the trash up out the yard.
Right.
Like real old school uncle, grandfather shit coming from young men who could have chose to do something else, and it changed my whole life.
And I think to your point, it kicks off right that way with the first song, with the Free, because you hear the soul food is so appropriate on so many different levels, but the soul part of it with the singing and like it has the somewhat of a like a sermon feel just kicking right off of the album, and that was so striking because, as you know, at the time in 1995, if you're going to hear like a rap album, especially a rap album coming from the South, it wasn't starting like that. And that to me let me know that this is going to be like a phenomenal project.
Right. Soul Food, the whole album had the spirit about it.
Right.
It had a spirit. Like Outkast is my favorite group, but Soul Food was my favorite album. Like at the end of the day. And I think also the thing that I don't hear people talking about too much is each person in the group had a personality.
Distinct personality,
and
too.
Maybe it wouldn't have, maybe it would have, or maybe it would have worked separately, but they created Voltron in a way that I had never heard it before. It almost seemed like they shouldn't have been a group. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes when you put that gumbo together, I guess gumbo is great to use because gumbo doesn't look good.
But when you taste
to
it,
the eyes, you got, claws and shit sticking up out of you. Like, I'm not eating that shit.
Right.
And then you taste it and you like, oh,
this is delicious.
This is delicious.
Right.
So I remember when I used to listen to hip hop, there used to be like this force field. And I felt like I used to look at the world through hip hop. Now I feel like I'm looking at hip hop. I don't know if that's
No, I understand what you're saying.
like lyrics of Fury and like those types of songs. Even Soul Food, you felt like you were in the. If it's gumbo, you felt like you was in the pot.
Yeah.
Not
absolutely.
even that you outside eating it. Like
because I remember for myself, being from Maryland, being white, all these different things, it helped me with perspective. It helped me understand things, and this is a perfect album for that because you have a lot of racial talk on there, you have societal talk, you have spiritual talk on this album, and like
you're talking about the Red Dog Police and
the Clampets.
Yeah.
But the thing is that when you heard it, it really was a transformative moment because, to your point, it made you feel like in the element, like you were really there. And having spent a lot of time in Atlanta and being in Patchwork around the time that they were doing this album, and like I actually saw, Gip, with Joy and everything in there. So it's like to be able to experience it, but then also to see like the effect that it had on people, because it touched people like myself, it did. But I could tell, like when I would talk to people, or later when I would get to interview Goodie Mob and talk to them, and especially with CeeLo and Gip, actually developing a relationship with them and getting to know them, it's just been amazing to see people coming up to them. Like Soul Food was a gold album. This wasn't something that went quadruple platinum. It wasn't a gazillion seller, but it matters to people. And I know you have a good story about something that helped you on the production side.
Yeah, Goodie Bag, the song. They have this button that you can push on the drum machine, where like if you have an 808, the 808 will hum as long as you hold your finger on it.
Right.
So if you hear Goodie Bag, the drums is going boom, 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 like, and I was like, how in the fuck are they doing that shit?
Right.
That's fucking awesome.
Right, right.
And I literally went into the drum machine and learned how to do it from that song, because the drums on there were so awesome. Now, of course, CeeLo's freestyle on that song is probably one of the dopest freestyles in history.
Right.
Ooh, shit.
Right.
You know, but even from a production standpoint, I even heard something, because I'm a producer, that maybe I shouldn't even talk about, because this is maybe a producer's secret, but I could hear the samples in organized noise production tucked all the way down.
Right.
Like, I'm not even gonna say the song because people try to go back and sue, but like the sample that was used on Mad Props for the youngsters.
Oh yeah.
I heard it tucked in the bottom of and then what they did was take a piano and play the same, the same chords.
Right.
So I was like, they were still hip hop, but in such a southern, unapologetic fucking way.
And I think that's one of the amazing things about the album is the production, because, even with the Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, which came out the year before, there was a lot of funk and soul elements. But what Soul Food did too was sonically it stripped things down, and you had that bare bones skeletal thing where it was maybe even just a bass line and one or two keyboard stabs and the percussion, and that was it.
But I think the reason why Goodie Mob needed that though is because Outkast was an idea.
Right.
Goodie Mob was what's happening right
now.
Fucking now.
And had been happening too.
From a church perspective.
Right.
From a funeral where your boys dying, with how the police were treating us. Like, literally, they sounded like your homeboy, at least for us, your homeboys that were right there on the streets. And I tell you this, we would have arguments about lyricists as far as like the East Coast and the South or whatever. And I was like, one of the reasons why y'all don't think we're lyrical is because you don't understand what we're talking about. See, we see LA and New York all the time. So we know your references. We know what 6-4s are. We know, what all of these different places. We know what Manhattan is and Brooklyn is. But like, when Gibbs said, I'm on 166, I can't see where the fuck I'm going. That's one of the hardest lines ever, because 166 is a major highway in Atlanta that didn't have no lights on it until just recently.
Right.
So like when you roll around in the daytime, it's a regular fucking highway. But at night, you would think you were in
the woods.
Like literally in the woods. You can't see shit on that motherfucker.
Right.
So when he said that line, we was like, oh shit. Everybody else in the world just like, fuck.
Yeah, what does that mean?
And
and that's the thing, like, even to this point in this discussion, we've talked about album cuts. We haven't even talked about Cell Therapy or Soul Food or anything like that, in the sense that the album resonated and it had so much heft to it sonically, thematically, and it really helped pave the way, I think, for so many things, in the sense of saying things that are important and doing it in a street way, but in a way that people respected. It wasn't preachy, it wasn't like, hitting you over the head.
Well, I just noticed something. I never thought about this until we had this conversation. And the album wasn't violent.
Not a lot, no.
No. It was reality based.
Right.
But it wasn't outwardly.
Yeah, it wasn't overtly
violent to people.
Right.
Yeah, if you come over here, we're gonna whoop your ass. But it wasn't perpetuating violence.
Right.
It was painting a picture of the environment. I never thought about that. That was because Goodie Mob it was deep, but it wasn't too heavy. It like kept you right on the edge of being like, damn, because you know, you have some albums out. It was funny, me and Anthony Hamilton was talking about this. A lot of my old albums I don't listen to because that shit too heavy. Like some of my old shit was just fucking depressing, like just straight out depressing.
Well, look at Gray Skies. That's not a very optimistic title.
Yeah. Let me tell you something dope about the album cover really quick.
Yes.
If you look at the album cover, it has the White House.
Right.
And then in the crooked letters, it had like.
The fangs kind of.
Yeah, but it was pointing down.
Right.
At the White House. Most people didn't notice that. So I was saying your gray skies is coming from here.
Right.
Well, you smart, so you saw it. Most people never got that. I thought it was being creative and shit. People was like, oh, that's pretty dark, you know. It's like, yeah, but I thought it was dope.
No, it was a very creative album. And one of the earliest, if not the first, song titles that had crunk in it was on the album. Shout out to Crooked Letters. Kamikaze, what's up? David Banner.
Shout out to Pimp C.
There you go.
Yeah, that was his idea.
Yeah. So back to Soul Food. What now, when you look back, what do you think is the legacy of this album?
It's okay to be you.
Okay.
Like, Soul Food, I would just say Goodie Mob, UGK, and Pastor Troy.
8-Ball and MJG.
Yeah, 8-Ball and MJG. Scarface, all of these people during those times, they were actually different facets of Southern personality.
Right.
You know, in a strange way, Goodie Mob was more the soul, more the conscious. Scarface and Scarface and 8-Ball and that side was sort of the street aspect, slick but still standing up.
Right.
3-6 was the aggressive,
a rowdy,
we
get
whoop your
buck.
ass.
Get
all
buck.
of these different people, but I really think like Soul Food brought the spirit to it. You know, brought the spirit to it. I think Outkast raised the consciousness and was more of the mind and it was more cerebral. Like Goodie Mob was the heart and soul. I think that's the legacy.
There it is, y'all. Thanks for coming through, David Banner.
Man, thank you. And y'all see Soren acting like he ain't known me for 20 years. Like literally 20 years.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And that's best albums, man. David Banner, Goodie Mob, Soul Food, Unique Access.